Studio check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the It Factor, blessing the airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and with energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
the biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world. The SBTV Nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. It is Sunday. It is the NFL, and we are ready to rock with 194 countries strong. You are listening to the It Factor, the SBTV Nation, and I've got my guys on the line. First off, Dream, what's up?
Don't adjust your speakers. I've been overrun by white boys.
Yes, you've been overrun by the white people. And I got Dan on the line as well. Dr. Dan, the evil genius. What's up? Good morning to you.
Rock and roll lives matter, Dream.
Yes, rock and roll lives matter, Dream. How you guys doing today? Dan, how'd you end up making out yesterday?
Hey, I ended up spitting juice back to the books at 3-3, so I'll take it. Gave up a little juice. But, hey, real quick, one thing that I just want to say real quick is that R.I.P. to Dennis Byrd. For those who don't remember, he was a Jets defensive end who had a serious spinal injury and actually came back and was able to walk again, and nobody thought he could. He ended up losing his life in a car accident. 17-year-old driver veered into the oncoming lane and hit him, unfortunately. So R.I.P. to Dennis Byrd. He overcame a lot, and sorry to his family and all that.
All right. Dream, how'd you end up doing yesterday?
I ended up recovering big time, and thank God. Actually, some of you guys that are new to this and listen to the show, I don't know if you caught what I did yesterday as far as my parlay was concerned, but really quick, I did a parlay, and I changed the second half of the parlay to the original parlay, meaning that the only way that the second parlay would go is if the original parlay won. Luckily, I had a loser in each one of them. My two losses of the day, Ole Miss and Georgia. But when the first parlay lost with Georgia, it cancels out the second one. So now I was able to just regroup all again at 3 o'clock. And it ended up being a great night. Ended up winning, but it was a stomachache. I ended up doing a Ohio State, Alabama, and Chicago Cubs 29 parlay.
Oh, wow. You stomach ached all that. I'll tell you right now.
Except for Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama was a laugher, and Tennessee just did not show up. And, getting the points in that particular situation did not work for me. But I had my undercover team of Western Michigan save the day as they won 41-0, guys. So, looked pretty good. And I'm ready for a big slate of the NFL. Just before we do that and before we get into football, Dan, any thoughts on baseball?
Yeah, so we have the Open Cubs parlay.
Yep.
And I was saying yesterday, let's put it back with the Cubs. But they're plus money today going against Kershaw. I think we can find some better value pairing it with an NFL team.
Okay.
So we're going to do that. But here's the thing. I am taking the Cubs. I will be on the Cubs tonight. Kershaw is going to get knocked around.
Really?
I think Kershaw gets knocked around by that. 3 or 4 runs. Might strike out some guys. The Cubs, I think, right now are plus 125. You have a pitcher on the mound that, has been dominant all year. Things happened in that start, but in the first start, I think the Dodgers, I just don't love the lineup. I know they managed to come back. I don't think they get another, they had to win that game last night. You're not going to beat Chapman again, right? You're not going to get runs off him again. I can't see them doing that again in the series. That was the fact that they came back and still lost is a big blow for them. I love the Cubs tonight.
Dream.
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on that? Because I know you've been a big advocate of the Cubs, but you got to face Clayton Kershaw today.
Well, I had the Cubs for the series, and I said I wasn't going to bet individual games, but last night, once you start losing, all rules are thrown right out of the window. You start just doing what you got to do. So I do like the Cubs to win the series. I'll heed Dan's word because I got a full slate of football and NFL football. Right? So I'll just stay away from this particular matchup and just heed his words because, he knows more about baseball, and I've been very vocal about I'm not the greatest baseball guy in the world, so I'm just going to stay back and maybe watch.
Hey, guys, and something that we were talking about a little bit before the show is if you're pairing up baseball with football or 2 baseball games or whatever, the +1.5s, and even if it has to be technically adjusted to +1.5, they're normally available. Those are good for playoff parlays because a lot of times you're not going to see, big blowout games, like, 4-run wins, things like that. That's just my opinion on that.
Good.
And baseball numbers are generally low. I mean, your numbers are a lot lower with baseball, even with pro football, as far as the money line situation is concerned, compared to, the other sports. So It works out. It makes as much sense to go ahead and do exactly what he says. I mean, you look at the Cubs today. If you take the Cubs plus the 1.5, it's only -145. I'm laughing at that.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. Here's a number for you. So people who are saying, the Cubs, basically this home team dog, in this game, and you know what, people can hit me up on Twitter. I can't wait to get the hate for this. I would take Kyle Hendricks in this game over Clayton Kershaw for this reason. Kyle Hendricks against the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're hitting $195 off him, on base 277 and slugging 415. 8 hits and 41 at bats for that team against him. Kershaw, on the other hand, 240 batting average against. They're on base of 280, which isn't great either, but they do have a couple home runs off him. I don't know. People want to rewrite this narrative with Clayton Kershaw saying, he had a good NLDS and now he's all better and he's not Peyton Manning anymore. Let's see it. Let's see what happens against the Cubs today because I think he gets shelled.
All right, well, if he has a decent game, then you got to basically take all that conversation away now that he doesn't perform. I mean, when you've got pitchers like David Price, Dan.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So I got to give him credit.
You got to take him individually. David Price and you saw it with Price. You saw it with Scherzer, right? I mean, these big time, and Scherzer had a very good start in his last start, but that first start, and maybe it was nerves, maybe Rocky, and you got to give a little things to the offense. But these guys are making $250 million. So you expect a lot. If you don't come out and throw 1 or 2 run ball, is that a good start?
I guess.
I don't know, because the thing is, Kershaw could come out, give up 2 runs, and the Dodgers could lose. That's why you still got to like the Cubs in this game.
Okay. I'm with you. I just don't know if I'm going to bet it. And I don't think I am, to be honest with you. Going over to the American League, what do you think of the Indians up 2-0?
I mean, the Blue Jays, it just proves the narrative. Pitching over hitting, right?
Yeah.
And the Indians have found ways to get timely hits. The coaching right now, we briefly touched on this yesterday. I mean, Francona out of everybody left, he's got to be the best. He just seems to push the right buttons, pull the right strings, bring in the bullpen at the right time. And I know they're going back to Toronto, and you think that could change the narrative. That's very scary because you have a pitcher on the mound that I don't know if he can handle a big spot on the mound for Toronto. And I mean, you have a guy in the Indians that might give up a bunch of runs as well. Okay. The line is at 9 right now. I'm kind of liking the over.
Okay.
Something's telling me the Indians are going to win that game too.
They're going to go up 3-0.
I still think that they're going to win in 5 now. I think it's going to be 5. I thought it was going to be 6 before, but the Toronto bats look awful.
They do. And they've gone through skids like that, Dan. We saw it. We saw it what was it? I want to say there was 2.5 weeks left in the season where they just started tanking. And they almost had some other teams emerge as far as a wild card was concerned. And the last week of the season is when they put their foot on the gas and made it work.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. And Trevor Bauer is not bad against the Blue Jays in his career. I mean, a 257 batting average against, a couple doubles, a couple home runs in 74 at-bats. I mean, no shame in that. I mean, he gave up a homer to Russell Martin, and he gave a homer to Devin Travis. So like, man, I think the Indians go up 3-0 and be over 9. I think it's going to be kind of a back and forth game, but eventually I think, the Indians get this done.
All right. So real quick, guys, before we get into the NFL, let's have a conversation of what went down yesterday in college football with the top teams, starting off with number one Alabama, who laid the smackdown on Tennessee. Dream, you said Tennessee is no good. And it came to
Tennessee
form.
was no good at the beginning of the season. That's yesterday. I told y'all at the beginning of the
That
season,
is truth.
overrated.
They are overrated. Exactly. And they just could. I mean, listen, you know what? You take a team that wants to fall down early and create magic in the second half. Well, you fall down early versus a defense like Alabama, you're not coming back. And that was 100% right, and shame on me for taking the points in that particular situation.
At some point, when do you blame the coach at Tennessee? Because that team they do have talent, but like you said, how many times can you come out and just be flat and lifeless?
Yep.
I mean, and they did it yesterday. And I think Dream called. I mean, they did end up getting a touchdown in the first half, but it's like we said, if they're down 14 or 21 in the first half, that game's going to end up as a blowout in the second half. And exactly what happened. Tennessee just was dead the whole game.
All right. And the Ohio State University gets the job done in Wisconsin. Very tough place to play, and hats off to Wisconsin for being all up in their ass the entire game.
It's a good team.
And Dream, I got to be honest with you. I watched pretty much the whole game last night,
Right.
and the difference that I see in the Ohio State offense compared to last year with Cardale Jones, whole different level, just a whole different speed. The tempo is there, and they have that push in the offensive line. I think this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely a force to be reckoned with. I talked a little bit about them yesterday. I was impressed with what they did yesterday as well on the field to go in that atmosphere. You know how hard it is to win in college football on the road. I mean, just look at yesterday's slate of games. And, they were able to still get it done and still win this game. Execution, excellent. Defensive game, excellent in the first half because they didn't let it get out of hand because it had the startings and makings of possibly get out of hand in that first half, but they were able to hold it down defensively. So hats off to them. Great job by them. And I think moving forward, like you said, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that's changed Wisconsin this season, and you don't like to give too much credit, but their D coordinator is a proven winner. Remember, Boise State during the glory years in the early 2000s, Tennessee, then Washington when they were really good, and then remember when USC had the great defenses last couple of years, he was the D coordinator over there. So bringing him in this year, I think his scheme and everything, and that defense is really good. I mean, you got to say that conference has the best defensive conference in the country by far.
By far. Between Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin. You could even throw a splash of Nebraska in there, Dream.
Yes.
It was splash Nebraska, but a very slight splash.
Well, they are undefeated.
Hey, you're calling the Illini, by the way, in that talking about that conference.
Oh, well, you know what, Dan? I mean, Rutgers actually put up a touchdown. That's the first touchdown in 3 games. So,
11 quarters.
I know. I mean, hey, listen, guys, sometimes you just find these awful teams that get blown out each and every week, and you just have to pick on them. And I knew that. And you know what? The Fighting Illini, I mean, they do stink, but they are in some difficult games. And I just felt like Rutgers, their psyche's just got to be blown up because, I mean, they get smoked so much. So they end up losing the game, and that one cashed as well. So
it's too bad they don't have relegation like, soccer does, where it's like, yeah, you guys were so bad you can't be in this conference anymore.
Right. I know. So, Dream, you got any more college football before we move on to the NFL?
As far as college football is concerned, I'm a wrap. I don't have any more. Great day for, Ohio State. Clemson looked a little bit shaky yesterday. We haven't talked about that at all.
Oh, yeah.
Clemson got out of dodge. But the thing with Clemson, guys, they turned the ball over 3 or 4 times. I'm not sure how many, but they turned it over a lot in the red zone where they actually would have probably been up quite a few scores. So I'm not going to go crazy about Clemson saying, oh, they're not as good as we thought they are. A couple of these teams, I mean, you can wake up and just have a bad day. And I think a lot of those situations maybe came to fruition yesterday. Everybody now really wants to separate Alabama from the pack. Listen, I like what Alabama does, but Alabama does what Alabama's done and been doing since Saban's been there. You know, they play a grind-out style. They wait for you to make a mistake, and they capitalize. The talent level that they've played in the last few games, you know, oh, yeah, they've gone in and dominated, but it's not the best in college football. They can still, as far as I'm concerned, be beat by some of the better teams in college football, but those better teams still would have to play a perfect game against them. You cannot not play a perfect game and beat them, and you cannot allow their defense to score touchdowns.
Yes.
Or you're going to lose to them. But
they're not facing those better teams probably till a playoff because,
right.
I mean, if you look at it, A&M, don't get me wrong, I'm love A&M, but again, I think Alabama kills them at home. And then it's at LSU, Mississippi State, Chattanooga.
Nice.
Yeah, Chattanooga, that's you know, that's a good one. And then they have the Iron Bowl, you know, which is home this year against Auburn. So not only are they home for their last 4 out of 5, the one road game that at LSU game, I guess Tiger Stadium, I mean, you got to still think that's something. I still think they kill them. So you're right, though, Dream. I think if they face, I don't know. I actually don't know. Because, I mean, they're going to go in as unanimous number 1. I'm not sure anybody that can really hang with them right now. I'm curious about a Washington team that plays amazing defense as well.
Yeah, that's a team that I think is going to be in the playoff, guys.
Yeah, I hope so.
Really, really think so.
I don't think Washington can beat Alabama personally. I think it's gonna. I think it's Ohio State, Clemson, or Louisville. One of those three. I think. And I think Ohio State.
Here's why Wash State could, though.
Oh,
It's like a 2 or 3 out of 10, right? It's like a 20 or 30% chance, don't get me wrong, to beat them. But they play such good defense that I think they can stop the run game of Alabama, and you're going to see something like where the first half might be like 6-3. And then maybe they get in the psyche a little bit. Maybe, you know, if Alabama wins out easy in their schedule, they're like, oh man, you know, had to try hard not to swear there because that's what they'd be doing. If 6-3 at the half, 10-3, things aren't going the way. I know they're very well coached, but that's why it's like that Wash defense is as good as anybody.
But it's hard for me to say Washington's defense is good from beating Oregon, Stanford, Arizona, Fresno State, Idaho, and Rutgers.
That's true, but the one thing that all those teams have is offense.
Rutgers.
Come on, Dan.
Well, not right, but Oregon. I mean, they held Oregon to 3
Yeah,
touchdowns.
they did hold Oregon.
They hold Stanford to 6 points.
Stanford's offense is terrible. offense is terrible.
Oh, okay. You got to play what's on the schedule. I'm just saying.
I'm with you. I can't give. I don't know how much I trust Washington's defense because I don't feel like it's really been challenged.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, we'll see as this materializes. Who's going to be in the playoff? You know, the conference champions are going to tell the tale of who gets in and who's sitting home. So, guys, I'm ready to move on to the NFL.
Yes. As you were talking about Tennessee yesterday.
Tennessee.
You on Cleve today, Hatter?
I might.
No, and he's taking the Dolphins. Give us that Dolphin plug today.
Don't be surprised if the Dolphins beat the Steelers today. That's all. Good morning to everybody. We are live on Twitter, SBTV Nation, having a hell of a good time with my 2 co-hosts today, and I'm looking forward to maybe some fireworks between you guys as we get into the card and we have this conversation. So, I'm going to kick it right.
Fireworks because Dan's mic is louder than mine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anytime Dan talks, Dream just gets drowned out completely. All right, so...
I didn't do that on purpose or anything.
Yeah, right. Dan's got a mute button for the Dream.
Oh, doubt.
All right, so I'm going to kick it right off with you, Dan, since you have the louder mic. And I'm going to let you pick out the first game on the ticket that you'd like to discuss with the audience and tell me what it is.
Do we want to get right into it?
Yes.
No, well, I want to start with something else that I think we might all agree on.
All right.
Let's start there. Let's ease our way into it. Because I think that this game that I'm about to say is going to be the holy beatdown of the day.
All right.
And that is the New England Patriots.
Okay.
At -7 points. Give me them points. Give me 10. Give me 15. Give me 20. I think the fact that Brady started his first game on the road and then, of course, threw for 400 yards in just like a magnificent day. I think he comes to Foxborough today, and it's just insane. All his guys are really bad. Like Gronk, I think, is at 100% now. You have Edelman that's not banged up anymore, really. You know, so you're not only do you get Brady back in like pristine condition with a fresh arm. I mean, it's almost like that 4-game suspension was good for them because all it did, like, this is serious revenge. And Cincinnati is just in their way, and they are about to get the crap kicked out of them.
Got New England -7.5 with an under-over of 47.5. Dream, are you interested in getting involved with the New England Patriots?
I am, but of course, Dream's getting involved with the money line. I'm not doing the points like Dan, only because you have a Cincinnati team with a little bit of urgency. You know, in the locker room, there has to be some talk. Hey, I mean, they know they're going to play the Patriots. Everybody definitely gets up to play the Patriots. Their record is absolutely dreadful right now. They got some bad losses under their belt, and the offense is not moving. And it's not necessarily their offense I'm worried about. Cincinnati did at one time have a very good defense, which they still kind of have. So I would expect their defense to step up a little bit. I by no means think that Cincinnati will win this game, but this game's got two issues. One, looks way too easy.
Okay.
And two, Cincinnati's back's against the wall. So for that reason, I'm going to safely moneyline the Patriots.
And you guys are probably in pretty good shape with that one. I mean, I watched Cincinnati last week, and they just could not perform versus the Dallas Cowboys.
I know, but watch them this week. Miraculously,
right.
All of a sudden.
Well, they're going to be up like 14-3 at the half, and you're like, what happened
right.
to Brady here? Brady throws like 3 picks in the first half. Now, you know what? I don't like the game, guys. It seems like a very easy spot, but Dream, it may be a little too easy, as you're talking about. So I'm probably going to stay away from this one and just watch it.
And one more quick thing to add. Yeah. For those of you who weren't aware of this, there is no more probable designation in the injury report, right, for football. Like last year, obviously questionable, probable, doubtful.
Yep.
There's only questionable and doubtful. So for those of you looking into the injury report, you're going to see like a number of guys questionable. The only reason for that is because there's no more probable, and if you don't list a guy and he doesn't start, you get fined like an ungodly amount of money by the NFL.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Great information, Dan. All right. Game number 2. I'm going to kick it over to the Dream. What do you got up your sleeve?
Game number 2 would be right there, your faithful Miami Dolphins. I am going with Ben Roethlisberger and the high-powered, off-the-chain offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The numbers 1 and 4 have a lot in common for these guys. The Steelers are 4-1. The Dolphins are 1-4. So I like this game. I like Ben Roethlisberger. I like what the Steelers can do, move the ball up and down the field. I talked about Miami being one of the worst teams in football, so I'm going to pick on them. I don't care that Miami's home. Yeah, this also looks probably a little bit too easy, so we're going to money line it.
Dan?
I mean, I actually looked at this game and I was like, man, the Steelers are going to kill them.
Yep.
I was like, you can't not think that way. Here's the small concern I have is they're expecting wind and rain during this game. And also it's going to be pretty hot. It's going to be like 80 and obviously really humid. So you worry possible turnovers. You worry that maybe the Steelers might not necessarily be acclimated to humidity or things like that. I mean, all small things, but something's screaming at me when they got bludgeoned by the Eagles. And I know the Eagles are a much better team than the Dolphins. Don't get me wrong. But the ardent Steelers faithful will tell you that there are times when this team just doesn't show up and this game screams trap. I think the Steelers win, but I do think it's going to be pretty close, actually.
You think it's going to be pretty close?
At least through 3 quarters. At least through 3 quarters. And a lot's going to depend on the weather, and I don't like wind and rain. Just leave me out of that.
Yeah. The challenge I have here in this particular game is that Miami, and this is what is troublesome to me with the Dolphins, is the offense is anemic and the defense is giving up 400 yards a game, like 401 to be exact. I just can't figure it out when you have that dominant of a defensive line, like all that talent on the defensive line between, Mario Williams, Wake, and Sue. I just can't understand it, and it's just bothering me. So I don't know if this goes to coaching. I don't know if this goes to.
It's your second. It's everything else, though.
Yeah, it goes
it's your
to
secondary.
Your week 1 loss at Seattle, where they could have won the game. I think that kind of buried them a little bit. Their psyche, as far as their psyche is concerned. This game here, Pittsburgh should definitely come in and lay the smackdown on the Dolphins. But I'm probably not going to get involved in this one, Dream.
At what point, because I'm at the point when I say the Dolphins' defensive line is overrated. Because you keep talking, I mean, we're in the,
I know.
7 here. I mean, it's overrated.
Yeah. Well, the talent is there. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if their stunts aren't working, or defensive schemes aren't working, or blitz package isn't working. Nothing seems to be working here. I mean,
see, I don't blame the defensive line here. I'm blaming the secondary and the linebacking core, because you have quarterbacks that are able to release in 2.5 seconds.
Yep.
And these guys aren't covered tight. I mean, look at your cornerback. Xavier Howard stinks. Byron Maxwell is overrated. You have guys that, really no-namers on your cornerback squad. Your linebacking core, Kiko Alonso, has been a massive disappointment. I mean, you would have thought you were getting a lot more with him.
Right.
I still think that you have guys that are able to run schemes and rush the passer well.
Yeah.
But, you do have guys that take plays off. Williams and Sue do take plays off.
Yep.
And then your secondary stinks. So that's why I think the Steelers get this done. I think Antonio Brown has a huge game today, but just worries me. Can't take it.
We're on Twitter right now. My man Jonesy's telling me that Pitt has struggled a couple of times on the road. Miami expects more Pittsburgh fans than Fins fans in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Probably, right?
Oh,
probably right.
100%.
Pitt has struggled on the road, but I would say this season there's a little bit of different chemistry with them. I mean, you look at the Philly game, that's different, but they didn't have Le'Veon Bell. The way this offense is built and the way they move the ball right now with this kind of ease, they seem to have an answer for whatever the defense is throwing at them, whether it's screen passes to Bell, over the middle with Jesse James, and then deep with Brown. And now they tried to add Sammy Coates to the mix. And I know he's got a fractured finger today, but there's just so many answers for whatever the defense is throwing at them with this team. It's just a different type of rhythm for me. And then on the flip side, the defense is stepping it up a little bit more. This Pittsburgh team's really scary what they're able to bring to the table today.
Yeah.
And I know too easy. I feel it too easy. That's how we moneyline or tease it.
Yeah.
I think they roll against the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Man,
probably.
the more I look at this, the more I want to take the Steelers, because I know the debacle against the Eagles. But look at what they did, the absolute destruction of the Redskins on the road the Monday night to open the season, So, I might have to take the Steelers. I might have to add that.
All right. Sounds good. So we're going to move on to myself, and we're going to look at a game. It's probably a nasty game, but
You don't want your stuff hat.
Yeah, shut up.
Yesterday you gave out Tennessee. Last week.
Oh, you know what? I love how you pick on my one loss when you got Georgia involved.
That
in your
wasn't
stuff.
a loss hat. That was a murder. You don't understand. Jack the Ripper.
Wasn't Georgia favored like by 15 or 16 points in that game and it lost?
Tennessee balls throw. Peyton Manning left the game in the third quarter.
Yeah, right. Very funny, Dream. Very funny. All right. Anyway, I'm looking at a game here that I really feel like this team is better than people think, and it's nasty. And the reason why I'm going against a certain team in this situation is because they have no offense whatsoever. And I'm picking the Detroit Lions to win at home today. -3 versus the LA Rams. Under over of 44.5. You guys know I've been a big Matthew Stafford fan throughout his career. Looking at the LA Rams, who are averaging 16.4 points a game going into the Dome here versus Detroit. I just think that Detroit will have the ability to score some points. I'd say, maybe in a 27-ish. And I think even like 24 points will get it done in this matchup. I like Detroit and I like Matthew Stafford to get it done. The Rams just don't do it for me, period. And when they win very ugly. They win by like a field goal. They win by 2. And it just seems like they only win in their division. So I'm taking the Detroit Lions to get it done. Dream, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, the problem that I have with that is the Lions always do 2 to 3 stupid plays a game. And that's just their whole career of being the Detroit Lions. The other additive in this game is the Rams, I have noticed week to week, are improving offensively. I saw a little bit of rhythm last week with them. I saw them be able to move the ball up and down the field a little bit. They're getting a couple of their players involved. Todd Gurley, though, still has not shown up for this team. And I don't know if he shows up today, in the dome against this Lions defense as far as his running is concerned. And that's why I'm a little bit concerned with this particular game. The Lions are allowing 114 yards on the ground. I don't know if Todd Gurley has a big game today. I don't like this game. I just don't. I just feel like there's something ugly about the game. I mean, yeah, you know what? Detroit will probably get the win because they're home. You think they would? But this Ram team, they're another team. They're
schizophrenic.
Yeah.
They're schizophrenic. That's what scares me. I looked at this game a lot too, Hatter, and I tend to agree with you, but I know that the Bucks kind of suck, and I know that the Cardinals are not really like the Cardinals we expected. They did beat them on the road.
Yep.
So just because of that, I got to fall back off it.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm on the island all by myself. I'm just looking at the LA Rams, who are number 32 offensively in all of football.
Be rooting for you.
Yeah, and you know what? I just think that it just sucks when you're the worst team offensively. It's so hard not to bet against them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing.
Case Keenum, the worst starting quarterback that started this many games in how long?
Yeah, I mean,
this dude reminds me of Ryan Leaf.
Sure, exactly. So
the thing, though, when I look at the Rams, though, and I go because I like to do this. I go player to player, position to position, and I compare.
Okay.
I give the Rams more check marks than I give Detroit.
Okay, I could see that. I understand it, but you know what? There's a reason why.
I mean, except in quarterback and number 1 wide receiver.
And you know what? Dream,
like
there's a reason why Detroit is favored, Dream.
Oh, I agree.
There's a reason why they're favored. We talk about that time and time again. So
everybody's been favored against the Rams, and the Rams still fight.
I mean, I might here's the thing, Dream. I might like Kenny Britt better if he had Matt Stafford thrown to him. You know what I'm saying? But he's got Case Keenum thrown to him.
I agree with that.
All right. So we're gonna move on to Dan. Dan, what's your next pick on the card today?
All right, let's just get right in to my Raven-hating New York Giant fandom, Joe Flacco murdering pick. The Giants are going to kill the Baltimore Ravens today. The Baltimore Ravens are getting killed today. And I know this is like the ultimate doctor special of hate, but I can't. I mean, I got to go with it.
You're taking
Let me hear it.
Dream.
You took all my steam away. That's like, honey, okay, I got lipstick on my shirt. Here's some roses. What can I say? You know what I mean? You just took all my steam when you did all of that. I can't even go at you now.
I've been thinking about that one since 6:30 in the morning when my kid woke me up, and I was like, how am I going to explain this play on the radio today? How do I say this? And that's the only way that I could. Look, I understand, but the Giants, yes, they've lost 3 in a row. Tough game to the Redskins. On the road against maybe the best defense in the league in the Vikings right now. And they looked like garbage at Green Bay. I will give you that. The Ravens stink. They're coming off 2 home losses to the Raiders and the Redskins. They've beaten the Bills barely, the Browns and the Jaguars. All right. I think the Giants still better than the Browns and the Jaguars. I think. And here's the other thing. I think that the Giants are going to be able to really key in on the receiving core and really just take that away because the Ravens can't run the football at all. at all. And I actually think that the Giants are finally, they started doing it at the end of the game way too late. Spread out the receivers, forget about the running back, like get someone out, get another tight end into block, and let's throw the ball 3 downs.
Dream, what's your thoughts here?
At the beginning of the show, I had planned on just murdering Dan with this play because I already knew he was going to take the Giants. I already knew that. But you guys know that I'm a realist, and I've been real with football. I've always been real with football. And I talked about how good this Giant team is capable of being at the beginning of the season, and I put my stamp on it. Now, that has not come to pass for them, and I blame a lot of that on their coaching staff, but I know Dan agrees with me. I don't like their coaching
100%
staff.
agree.
Don't really like their offensive core. I don't like any of the coaches. I actually don't like any of the coaching staff's decisions with this team. However, the Ravens are banged up. The Giants' backs are against the wall. The Giants are at home. I don't think the Giants will kill them because I don't think the Giants are capable of killing anybody right now, unfortunately.
I think this is the game where they get right, though, because if they had this defense with the offense they had last year, and not much has changed. It's the same guy calling the plays, right? Like, they'd be, I mean, it's really frustrating because, like, you know, they should be scoring more points, and I just think Green Bay's defense isn't bad. I just don't see the Ravens' defense doing anything today against the passing game.
The Ravens got a slew of injuries. Steve Smith's not going to play for them.
Right.
They're missing some of their offensive weapons. I think the Giants will get this done. I definitely don't think they're going to kill them, but I do think the Giants are going to find a way to win maybe a really ugly game by a field goal because the Giants are still going to make giant mistakes. And you know what? I never liked Tom Coughlin. I really didn't. And I thought it was the right move to get rid of him and get him out. But you can see that this team does now lack the discipline that he brought to the table with this team, unfortunately, with him being gone. Not that I want him back, but I think part of the coaching issues with this team, as well as just being bad, they do have some disciplinary issues.
I agree.
Enforced.
No, I agree. And it's not even necessarily discipline, too. I mean, there is discipline, but something like where Harris fumbled, right? Coughlin would have had him out of the game. He's not returning another kick the rest of the game.
Yep.
Right? And no, he gets to go right back out there. So there's lack of accountability for mistakes on the field. That being said, what I would do, if the Giants don't make the playoffs, which, you know, now with the way Philadelphia and Dallas are both performing, it's going to be a really tough uphill climb. I think you get rid of Reese has to be gone. I thought he should have been gone with Coughlin. I think you should have brought in a new GM, let him do it. Unfortunately, you have to do that. If you don't want to do that, then I say make Spagnuolo the head coach, because the defense is the one thing that seems to have gotten right with this Giants team. So you make him the head coach and run the defense, and you bring in, one of your offensive gurus, whoever that is, because I guess it was supposed to be McAdoo, but Eli Manning does not need to be handcuffed, and that's the problem. You can't run the ball on first down every first down.
That's all they do.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's like it's
all
a formula. Come on, guys. It's 2016. The NFL doesn't work like this. I understand that you want to limit Eli's interceptions that he's prone to, but he's also thrown to making some really good passes down the field to good receivers. So let him do it.
You know what's problematic about the Giants is that they're not winning at home. They're 1-5 in the last 6 games at home straight up. So it just seems like they're not performing in front of their fans. And Dan, you're right. First down is a run play every single time. I mean, why not a play action right out the gate?
Makes you want to rip your... I said it every week. I think I said it every week, right? It's like, Can we just play action and just throw the ball 50 yards down the field? I don't care if it's incomplete. I don't care if it's thrown over the guy's head, right? Like, it'll take the other team by such shock and surprise that, they'll be crashing the line for that run play that comes every first down.
The Baltimore. Go ahead,
tempo. I mean, I think that the Giants should go no huddle tempo just to start the game, just to get Eli in a rhythm.
I like it. I really do. Yep. I really do. And you even saw, everybody. Here's the other problem. They try and turn Eli into a statue, and I know Eli is not athletic at all. Don't get me wrong, he's not. But he can move his feet a little bit, and you saw it last game towards the end of it, rolling out of the pocket to the right, rolling out to the left. When it's designed, he can do it, and he's pretty good at doing it and still making passes. So, the offensive coaching just has to be better today. And if it's better, I think they win pretty big. If it's not, the defense is going to have to stand tall, and they're going to win a close, ugly game. So buy the hook, get it down to 2.5. I think they win. They definitely win by a field goal, so I'm going with that.
All right. So any thoughts on the under in this game? I mean, Baltimore does have a pretty good defense.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Number 3 in the NFL, yards per game.
Yeah.
Saying, I think it could be an ugly game. Back and forth, maybe like a 13-10 going into the fourth quarter or something like that. I could see it because, the Giants they're not really doing anything offensively. 17.8 points a game. That's it. And Baltimore's not much better. Baltimore's not 18.8. You know what? I kind of leaning under here. And maybe getting it in a teaser situation, pumping it up to like 50 or 51.
Yeah. If you do that, then I think you're good.
All right. So we're going to move it over to the Dream. Dream, what do you got up your sleeve here?
Last piece of the puzzle, Philadelphia Eagles caught a loss last week. Expect them to bounce back this week. They're playing the Washington Redskins. As you know, Redskins tight end is not playing for this game. He is in concussion protocol, so he won't be available for them. That's a big piece of their puzzle. I believe that the Eagles will bounce back. Eagles started off last week a little bit sloppy, messy, which we haven't seen him do all season long, but we're able to hold it down and then come back, in impressive fashion and almost challenged at the end of that game to be able to be successful. I think that win was a nice slap in the face for them to let them, get back down to earth, get back to basics a little bit. I expect them to come into Washington and to be able to execute. The Redskins another team don't seem to play really well in their house. So I like the Eagles to win this game. It's an interdivisional matchup as well. And I think Philly's got to have some emphasis on trying to get this game won. So that's the third piece of the money line parlay.
All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that one. Dan, any thoughts on the NFC East showdown?
Just because of that, I feel like these NFC East matchups, they never go according to plan. Everything you're saying, I agree with. Missing the tight end, huge, right? All these things. I just can't take it. I'll wish you the best of luck. Honestly, rooting for Washington because I just think that that's what the Giants need, but I'm going to stay away completely.
All right. Well, it's my turn. And I'm going to go into a game here where I think it's going to be a little tighter than everybody thinks, but I think that the better team at home will emerge. And I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys at the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay minus 4.5 with an under-over of 48. This is a 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard start. And I believe, now, if Dak Prescott wants to prove his case as far as being the number one quarterback in Dallas, he's going to have to perform here. And I think that when you play a team, play a hostile environment, going into the Tundra here, I just think that Green Bay is the better team, and I think they're going to get the job done here.
Is Dez back today?
I do not know.
No.
He's not, right?
He's not.
All right. It's going to be a good game. And Dallas, the offensive line is just absolutely amazing. It's really, really good. And they've been building this for years. And, I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers here, and I just think offensively I give them the nod. I think they're going to get it done. I don't like the 4.5 points. You know how I feel about that 4.5. So I think I'm going to moneyline parlay them with Detroit, and then I'm going to do a teaser situation as well. Probably get them pumped up to like plus 3.5 with the Detroit Lions as well. Dan, what's your thoughts on this one?
I really do like the Packers. I'm not sure if I'm playing this yet. I think it's strength on strength here because the Packers D-line has been great as well. And the Cowboys O-line, like we said, probably the best in football.
Yes.
So if they can find a way to turn them one-dimensional and make Prescott throw, which I think they will, I think they're going to frustrate Ezekiel Elliott early because they don't miss tackles. That's a huge thing. They wrap up, they tackle very well. Rodgers, I don't think is going to make mistakes. He normally doesn't. The one wild card is, it's just the Packers, something just hasn't seemingly clicked with them all year. They've won and they're 3-1, but sometimes it doesn't look so pretty. 4.5 is kind of a brutal number. I say you got to get that under a field goal, but I think they win.
All right, Dream?
Well, I really like this game. I really like the Green Bay Packers, and this is definitely a call-out game for Dak Prescott. Green Bay's defense allows 42 yards on the ground. I expect him to be able to take Ezekiel Elliott out of this game. I know everybody's going to talk about the Cowboys' offensive line, and that's awesome, but when you put 8 in the box, I don't care how good your offensive line is.
Yep.
You're going to shut the running back down to an extent, all right? Plus, the Green Bay Packers defense used to playing pretty good running backs. I mean, they used to see Adrian Peterson a couple times a season. So I think Matt Forte, when he was with Chicago, they played against good running backs. So here comes Ezekiel Elliott. I expect Green Bay, like you said, shut them down, force Dallas to have to throw the ball. And now you're going to see what the real Dak Prescott is about. The only thing, though, that Dak still will have available to him, which may skew this, is Dak will still probably be able to rush the ball at points because it's very hard for professional defenses to allot for, a mobile and running quarterback. That poses a big threat, to the Green Bay Packer defense. Of course, they'll probably spy one of their linebackers, Matthews, one of the two, but it's still tough to stop, especially a guy like Dak who's just athletic and, running gifted as he is. But I do expect Green Bay to win this game. I would not give the points. Get this down to under a field goal, and I think you're going to be safe.
Yeah, that's why I like the teaser, and I like the money line parlay as well. And my man Joe Everett's telling me that it looks like Dez is not playing today in this game. All right.
Yep. And
right.
Eddie Lacy, I think, is still questionable, so I might wait for that. But, the option in Starks is not bad.
Oh, Starks is out.
Starks is out, too. So that's a concern. So who would – so here's something I'm reading from 2 hours ago from CBS is Eddie Lacy's going to play. His backup is going to be Randall Cobb.
Interesting.
That's very interesting. So here's another little wrinkle to it. And I actually was kind of thinking this. I think that in the Packers game plan, and I think they have this, and I think they use this, because the Cowboys' offensive line is so good, I actually think exactly what you said, Dream, about Dak, about the mobility.
Right.
I think you might see that out of Aaron Rodgers today. I might think you might see some rollouts, moving the feet, getting out of the pocket, maybe rolling out designed run plays for him a little bit to get outside. Especially I'm really curious to see how they utilize Randall Cobb as the running back too. So
yeah,
should be interesting.
And another thing too, and big ups to my man Strategic Investments for sending me a bunch of information here. The Dallas Cowboys do have the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL, but counterparted with that ferocious run defense of Green Bay, it's going to be a good game. I think this will be a good game. It's going to be a great, highly rated game. I think a lot of people are going to be watching it, and I'm going to be happy to put my money on the Green Bay Packers today. That's it.
2 of America's teams.
All right.
Definitely a huge draw.
Dan, what you got next?
Yeah, so I'll move it over to a game that I am very confused about the line. Maybe you guys can help me. The Atlanta Falcons.
All right.
At +7.
At Seattle, at the 12th man.
Am I missing something?
You're probably just missing the fact that everybody bets Seattle all the time. All the time.
7
Wait,
points.
So do you mean they should be getting more or they should be getting less?
I thought it was going to be, honestly, I thought it should have been like 4.
Okay. All right.
4.5.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, especially the way the Falcons have been playing.
Yeah, the Falcons have been playing great. And, I mean, come on. I understand that Seattle is 3-1. Again, what I like to call a farcical fraud 3-1. They beat the Dolphins by 2 points to open the season. They scored 3 points against the Rams. The 49ers looked terrible against them, great, and they beat the Jets, who are a hot mess. And how many, interceptions or whatever was in that game was crazy, right? So the Falcons, who are, the hottest team in football right now, I can't see them losing this game, let alone 7 points all day. I don't care about the 12th man. That doesn't bother me. I think that the Falcons, they have a 2-headed monster at the running game. Their receiving core is sick. They have a good enough defensive line to completely exploit Seattle's still terrible offensive line. So someone explain this to me.
Dream, I'm going to let you talk about that one.
Well, first of all, I mean, I could see any team losing in the NFL, especially after watching yesterday and then watching the NFL over the past few weeks. Atlanta Falcons been playing good football, but there's still a lot of question marks with this team. We've seen this team play well in the past, not quite like they're playing this season, but still find a way to implode. I don't love Seattle. I agree with you. I hate Seattle's offense. I think it stinks. Seattle still has a pretty decent defense, only allowing 80 rushing yards, along with 201 passing yards. So, they're going to put Sherman's going to be on Julio Jones, remove that additive from the Atlanta Falcons, and then you stuff them with the run, as far as, the run, their running game is concerned. You throw some in the box and shut down Atlanta's running game a bit. Could be troublesome for Atlanta. I mean, I think 7 points as well is too much. If you're going to use a teaser and you got 7 to 10 points and you're looking for that extra team to throw in there, I mean, I don't think you go wrong with Atlanta. However, this is 2 games in a row for Atlanta on the road. This is your second road game.
Yeah, I agree.
It's tough to play in Seattle, to talk about the 12th man. I think that's a little bit overrated this season. And
I think it's harder to play in Denver, honestly.
Agreed.
And didn't they stayed out there, right? They stayed out west, I believe, as well.
Yep. Agreed. I agree with you. I think it's harder to play there, but I would not be surprised to see Seattle win this game. I think if you get a 7 or 10 point tease, Atlanta's the way to go because you already got that 7-point buffer. And if you can't, then you stay away from the game.
Well, I got to tell you this much, that nobody's impressed with Seattle's offense, but you're going back to probably the first 2 or 3 games. And then the last couple of games, they've definitely kicked it up a notch offensively, guys. So that's something to take a look at. And, being the number 1 defense in the NFL, it's a real big test for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I'm a believer in the Falcons. I think that they'll win enough games to get into the playoffs, possibly even win their division. I mean, they're the odds-on favorite right now to win the division. But
when you say go back to the last 2 or 3 games, right? So let's go back to the third game that they lost against the Rams, 9-3. Okay. There's no offense in 3 points. Then the second game would be the 49ers, who that game got blown open late because of busted plays. Because I remember the Niners were kind of with them for a minute and got blown open.
Right.
The Jets. Another game they played with some busted plays. So
wasn't there 6 turnovers in that game against the Jets too?
Right, exactly. I'm not still certain that you want to say their offense has emerged.
Well, I'm looking at they're averaging about 34 points in the last 2 games, Dream.
Yeah, but you got to look at how those points were got.
And Jets still had.
Okay. I'm just saying. What are you trying to say? I mean, Atlanta doesn't really have a great defense, Dream.
Agreed, but.
Yeah, but look at who they've played again. You're talking about offensive teams. The Raiders have a very good offense.
Yep.
Saints, again, good offense, right? The Panthers had Cam Newton in that game, good offense. The Broncos, I understand that they didn't have, their starting quarterback, but they supposedly still had a good offense. And they held the Broncos to 16 points on the road there. That proved a lot to me. I don't see the Seahawks offense. They need the help of their defense in turnovers. And if they don't get them, I don't see them having a lot of success today.
Got it. All right. So there's a couple of games left, guys, and I'm just going to rattle them off, and feel free to stop me on any one of these. You got 2 of the nastiest games on the board. You got Cleveland at Tennessee with Tennessee minus 7.5.
No.
Pat, you shouldn't feel that Tennessee's nasty though no more.
Tennessee getting minus 7.5.
A lot of look at it, Tennessee.
I got a lot of look at them last week, that's for sure.
I know everybody's on Cleve today, but I'm going to stay with me.
Oh, man. The next one is Jacksonville at Chicago. Everybody loves this Jags team, Dream.
I know.
And the Jags are an underdog at Chicago. Plus 1.5, so I'm sure a lot of people
so much money on the Jags.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be getting on that Jags team. What is the status of Cam Newton at New Orleans?
He's playing.
He's playing. Okay, so Carolina's minus 3 versus the New Orleans Saints. Does Carolina bounce back? Yes or no?
I don't know.
It's a coin flip.
Not bounce back against the Saint defense.
I know. Exactly.
Yeah, but this Carolina defense is like a shell of what it was.
No,
Exactly.
I think they bounce back. I think Cam's going to be able to put this game on his shoulders alone and win. But I would prepare for fireworks. I mean, Saints are good offensively at home.
Yeah.
But they're probably going to have to shoot him out. So if you got Drew Brees as your quarterback, which he happens to be my quarterback, let him go.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You always got a shot.
I mean, losing Josh Norman meant this. This is crazy to me that they
one guy. I know
that one guy did this, but yeah, no, that's why you can't take this game because the Saints. This game actually, you know what this reminds me of? That Saints Giants game last year, where every play was just like field goal or touchdown.
Oh yeah, right. There was so many points scored.
I could just see it going. I actually like the over.
54
in that game.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the over.
You got San Fran at Buffalo. You got Dream, your boy Kaepernick.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills, though, and, I'm the biggest advocate of the Niners stinking.
Yeah.
The Bills don't really have a right. I saw 10. I don't know if I'm seeing 8 now. I saw 10 yesterday, and I was like scratching my head. Like, I know the Bills are emerging all of a sudden, and one got on a little 3-game winning streak, but that's another one to be looked at and scrutinized a bit. The Patriots, I felt, dialed it into them. They struggled with the Rams a little bit last week before they got a hold of themselves. I don't know that team should be given 10 or double digits to any team in the NFL that they play. I know the Niners stink. I absolutely agree that the Niners stink, but I think that's a lot of points. I think the Bills win. Don't give the points, though.
Don't give the points. And then another game here that's got me kind of scratching my head a little bit is this line where Kansas City's favored at Oakland.
Oh, I love it.
You love it.
Oh, no, I love Oakland.
You love Oakland as a home team underdog, Dan.
Plus
Why?
1.5.
Talk to me. Why is that?
The Chiefs stink on the road.
They stink on the road.
I mean, and this team isn't very good. Again, we're talking about, they were able to win that OT game against the Chargers, the Chargers blow it against everybody. They scored 12 points at the Texans. Then they beat the Jets 24-3 on 6 interceptions by the quarterback, and they still only managed 24 points. And then they got bludgeoned on the road against the Steelers. And the Raiders are going to have a field day here. I just don't look. The secondary in Kansas City is pretty good, but they don't have enough firepower to cover everybody that the Raiders are bringing. I'm all over the Raiders as the home team dog today.
All right.
So now the Raiders haven't had a field day against anybody yet. They beat the Saints by 1 point. They lost to Atlanta. They beat Tennessee by a touchdown. They beat the Baltimore Ravens by 1 point, and they beat San Diego by 3 points. So they've yet to have a field day against anybody. I don't disagree that the Raiders may win this game. I'm just saying it's not going to be a field day.
Well, they did win those games on the road. I know San Diego, I hear you with that one. That was a little tough, but I think Kansas City's overrated, Dream.
I think you may be right. The only thing is something I just am not sold on this Raider team completely yet. I'm getting there. I'm working on it with watching. I'm getting there. This will be a big game for me.
Yeah.
To see what they do in this game might get me finally on this Raider bandwagon with the rest of everybody else. But right now, I think the Raiders might still be a tad overrated. And I don't know that the Chiefs are done. I've seen a little bit more improvement in their defense week to week. You talk about Andy Reid and his coaching, and I know there's some stat about Andy Reid after a bye that means nothing to me, but I know there's some stat out there about him being dope after a bye. But, I don't know. I really want to see – this game tells me a lot about the Chiefs and a lot about the Raiders. Great watch game. I slightly maybe the under in this game.
Yeah, see, it's funny. I was going to say I do kind of like the over.
Oh.
Just because Jamal Charles is back, and I just could see, I really can see this game going back and forth for a while. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's just screaming at me to that, but I don't know if I'm going to take it. I don't know if I'm going to take the over, but I kind of lean that way.
Speaking of that trend, Dream, OJFB said that Andy Reid is 15-2 after a bye. Why are the Chiefs favored, guys? Why are they favored?
And only if he has an extra large pizza and cheesesteak from Gino's from Philly.
Oh, he got it shipped in.
Yes. And one more game on the ticket, guys, that we could talk about is the interdivision matchup, as you've got the Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Battle for the division here. Let's see. The Houston Texans are -3. And the total on this game is 48 points. Indianapolis has one of the worst defenses in football, giving up almost 30 points a game. And looking at it here, I mean, the thing is that what's surprising to me is that the Indianapolis Colts are 6-1 in the last 7 games when playing Houston. So they've owned this series. Dream, I know this is a nasty game, but this is Sunday Night Football, so I'd like to know your thoughts on it.
My thoughts are I like the Colts to win.
Really?
Yeah, I do like the Colts to win. I don't like this Texas. Listen, I don't like Brock Osweiler. I don't think he's a good NFL quarterback. Obviously, Denver didn't either to let him go. Andrew Luck is a better quarterback than he is. To me, this Texans team, they just don't do it for me defensively. They're not who they were last year or, the season before that. Obviously, the loss of J.J. Watt has been big. Brock can't seem to get the ball, to the dynamic wide receiver on that team. Their run game's not working out that incredible for them either. Game looks like a shootout somewhat, and I like the Colts in the shootout. I think you might even like the over slightly in this game as well. But I think the Colts have more offense than the Texans have.
All right. Well, good stuff, guys. So that's going to do it for us. Unless you got anything else, Dan.
No, I'm staying away from that game, though.
All right.
That game's nasty.
Everybody's staying away now.
Yeah, right, of course.
8:15, it'll be looking attractive again.
You waiting all day for Sunday night, Dream.
It's like 1:50 at the bar, and you've not locked into anything, and now the ugly girl.
Yeah, right. The Bengals beat the Patriots today, so now you're screaming.
You know what I'm saying?
We all know that.
You know what? She ain't that bad.
Yeah, she ain't that bad looking after all. Exactly. So, all right, guys, that's going to conclude us, but we're going to run down our plays and what we are on. Guys, this is just what we are taking. Feel free to do whatever the hell you want. Tail us, fade us, get involved in your own stuff. Do whatever. We're just a couple of gamblers having a good time. Dream, I'm going to start off with you. What are you on?
All right, here we go. New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, Philadelphia Eagles, moneyline par. Now, if you want to make it even more attractive, do an 8-point tease, and you'll have the Eagles +5, which means that they can lose by a field goal. That's way more attractive, but your boy got greedy today, and I wanted to make more money, so I went with the moneyline par on that. That's what I'm on as of right now. I'm looking at some more stuff. Dan has kind of convinced me about the Giants, even though I've lost a plethora on the Giants already this season, but I may try them one more time, and I also like Green Bay in the 4 o'clock.
All right, Dan, what are you on?
Yeah, so I'm going to roll with the Patriots -7, the Giants, we bought the hook down to -3, the Raiders +1.5, and the Falcons +7. And I liked it so much that I did a 7-point tease with all these, which is actually, look, it's a Sunday fun day teaser. It's +200. It takes the Patriots up to a pick, the Giants up to +3.5, the Raiders up to +8.5, and the Atlanta Falcons up to +14.
All right.
So I got to run, boys. It was always a pleasure. This weekend was great. I hope everybody out there in the nation cashes tickets today.
All right, Dan. Sounds
Best
good.
Best of luck to everybody.
Thank you so much. And, guys, I am going to stick with the NFC North. I am going to take the Green Bay Packers, and I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. Moneyline parlay. Going to put them also in a teaser, and I may actually add one more game to that, being I may even pump the total up to 51 points with Baltimore and the New York Giants to get it under that, Dream.
That's a good idea.
That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So that's pretty much going to do it, Dream. What do you got to do to close out of here?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody that got up this morning and retweeted the show, everybody that listened in. You guys are great. Fast Eddie 72, Terrence Mack in the house. Terrence Mack. What did we have go down with UNC yesterday, Pat?
They won. They beat Miami in the U.
Miami, that's right. I've got to talk about that. Big ups to him. I know I need to give a big ups to him as far as that's concerned. I know you're on that roller coaster ride with University of North Carolina,
yes.
So let the ride continue. Haley Morris is in the house. KMVU is out there. Jim Rome is a douche. Good to see him. Spot bet, Mario Martinez. My boy, Mr. Charlie, over at Direct Sport Solutions. And guys, be advised that we are doing stuff again during the week on Wednesdays.
Yes.
We're on KGBH, I believe it is. But I will definitely get back to you and get you all that information pertinent tomorrow, because I don't have it right on my page today. Joseph Del Rosario's out there. JDH24 is in the house. Wayne Yarborough is out there as well. Vegas Girl 92661, good to see you. Derry Bouchard, hey, what's going on? Marlon, Louis Cypher. What's going on, Louis? Good to see you out there. You've been listening quite a bit lately. We've got Sir Mata in the house as well. Sport Ear. We also have OJFB, It Be Easy, Wooch GG, Average Joe Punter, Papa Smurf, just to name a few. Gang, I'm the Dream. Always remember who you're with. Make the most of each and every day, because you cannot get this time back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dream. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Monday morning quarterback, myself and the Dream. We'll be going through all these games, everything that went down, and we'll be talking about Monday Night Football.
Let me interrupt you for a minute, just to update. Gronkowski supposedly has a stomach ache or something's wrong with his stomach, just so you know. He's supposed to play, but's got some stomach issue. Guys, if you got him for fantasy, I don't know, maybe that's interesting to you. Maybe it's not. I still expect New England to roll, but it does look like everybody and their mother is taking New England. So if you're into that public thing, yes, go take Cincinnati.
And you know, Martellus Bennett is banged up with an ankle injury too.
Yes, go take Cincinnati money line. Show me that ticket.
Show you the ticket.
Show it now. Don't wait till after the game's over.
Get a little Cincinnati and Cleveland money line. Put them together and laugh. Guys, we love you to death. Go out there, go easy, enjoy your Sunday, make all your dreams a reality, and get that money. Let's go.
Peace.